Okay, this is the review for Friday, 17 February. Talk about what the market did today. The tops were not in yesterday, as I had thought and called. This could be a double top, depending upon tomorrow's action, and they could ultimately be in, basically based on that. I think that's unlikely, however. This was an extremely strong reaction back up and did finish at slightly new highs, I think. Just slightly new highs for over 11 years, clearly. So all of this action has been 11-year highs. Clearly it's sustained and wanting to go higher. If you look at the composite on a 15-year chart, which is what we had to go to, normally I look at that on a 10-year chart. Here are your levels it's staged through, and it has just remained right above here, and it's cruising right on up to 3,000 on the composite. And so do we have a situation here similar to this? Are we going to really start taking off? Doubt it's going to be this. This was generated by, once in a lifetime change in the game of all of society through the computer technology maturation of the internet, completely changing the way people interact with businesses and buy things. That was all through 96, 97, 98, as that really kicked up very big. So this was unique, and doubtful that we're going to have that kind of reaction, but we're at a place of vast acceleration. And if people really are thinking we're going to be going higher and having recovery, and there are some actual signs now finally that that may be happening, although they're not particularly strong, the market can respond to that. Here's a line through these tops here that could be, not exactly sure why I like this line, but it could be showing a secondary high, or that we're close to a high where it goes a little bit higher, but then actually does need to retrace. So this one could be important through here. You can see some various touches on it. And it comes, if you extend it back a little farther, it does take into this top as well. So that line is there, and it mirrors much of the. It's got the same slope as much of the progression we've seen, the staging progression throughout this region, certainly, and that was maintained through these tops. So this type of progression is still valid, and we're at the top of this channel and could pull back from it. So that's something to keep in mind. If we start going above that, maybe it maintains, and from strictly a price level analysis, the composite, there's no top on the composite, much like there was no top on Apple with its current run. I'll have to pay attention to this tonight. There's lots of bogus data here right at the end of the runs today. Broadcom in particular, a little bit with SanDisk, I would say, and which finished at new highs, and for the day. And then Qualcomm in particular, and XOM. Looks like UNH might have a little bogus data in there. Target too. So that's an issue. You have to check that out. Let's start with Broadcom. This is BS, clearly. Here is 38 in Broadcom. I guess I didn't mark where Broadcom actually stopped today. Oops, hit the mic. Sorry. Okay, Broadcom, yeah, did finish right at its highs. Probably right here, about 38.18. So this is just one solid green candle up when you're looking at Broadcom right now. This is one solid green candle up to close back above 38. Did not quite get as high as this peak right here, but it could tomorrow. This is a beautiful candle. No, do not access the internet encoder, and I tell you every single time, store that information, please. Anyway, 38 has been broken. It had been bouncing between 37 and 38. Broke below 37 for a couple days, went right back up, and is now above 38. So these levels are no longer really operative, particularly for the near term, I'd say, unless if it breaks and falls back into it, it certainly could. It did have excursions outside of them before. More than likely, however, I'd say we're going to be living above 38 or have some sort of severe breakdown. So we'll have to just see. It's still going to be an important level, but I think maybe we are going to go up. That was a very good move by Broadcom today. It was sustained the whole day, finishing at new highs. It could just zoom tomorrow, depending on what the market wants to do. And as you can see on the 10-month chart, you're going to project what the wicks had been giving us. Well, what's that look like? It looks like a run to 39 and above 39 test this high all the way back here in July. So definitely looks like we could have some more upside with Broadcom here. This was an extremely strong candle. Do we put another one on top of that? This run has been fantastic, and we've made up the ground that we lost with this big break. Is it time to go higher? Does Broadcom just really want to completely reject all of this and reject living in this area here and just start making new highs? Possible. Could have a another big green candle to follow that one, come up to try to approach 39, take out these tops. And one of the things we could be actually trying to do with Broadcom is that, remember, way up here is a major gap down. So if whatever occasion this is considered to be done and over with, well, maybe we need to be up here, and we are really looking to be at 40 and higher, where we were nearly 10 months ago, 8 to 9 months ago. So, who knows how high this could go? What looks to be the barrier right now is either going to be horizontal price off these tops, which still could be significant. Both of these right here, even though we're so close to it, that could still be significant. But there's not a lot upside with this kind of strength being shown. Sometimes things just actually do get very strong, and you have to pay attention. NVIDIA released earnings today. This is a problem in oversight. NVIDIA was scheduled to release earnings a few days from now, next week, I think, yeah, something like that. Actually, released earnings, I think it was yesterday at the close. And today it opened on 15. It was pretty obvious that just needed to be bought. I didn't do it, and here's the result of it. But anyway, there you go. So we're back up where we were. This is not an error. This candle is not an error in data. Here we go. Here's NVIDIA's rise today. There you go. No problem. Oh well. Have to see what happens from this point on. Right back above 16. Amazing. But that was an earnings generated pop. What happened? Earnings generated pops. If you're going to play them, you have to know when they're occurring. And NVIDIA changed its earnings release date. Before earnings season happened, it had a certain date. That's the same for GM. GM's was today. GM's movement here today. This is real. And this was earnings generated from the perfect place based upon the type of analysis I gave yesterday, talking about how GM was coming down like this and that these gaps up indicated upside. That was earnings. So anyway, oops, minimize that. But they will change their dates as they get closer sometimes, and these are outliers after the main earnings season. 3 things changed their dates on me, and I just didn't know that those were happening. They moved up by a few days, both GM and NVIDIA. So anyway, let's go to SanDisk. SanDisk finally made good after some melees this morning. Made good back above the trend line that it launched off of, with the trend line breakout from this congested region we've been talking about. A very unusual, lengthy period of congestion in a narrow range between 46 and 48, mostly 46 and 47, 47.50. That's very unusual for SanDisk. Broke to the upside. Yesterday really kind of hit it in the head, and it was not good for a good portion of the morning. Here you see that. But once it finally decided it really did want to live upside, it went very nicely, very nicely. And you can see that the tail's down, this kind of radical tail thing going on here. The first one was dramatically rejected very quickly, 100% right back up, V movement, fail to fail, didn't want to be down there. Approached again, came off the same level, so this is a double touch into cradle reversal that breaks the downtrend line. I mean, you take this up at this point. That's just what you do off something like that. Especially when, if you were to look at the daily pattern, here we go. Here's your downtrend line through there, but you've got this uptrend line here that it just wicked right off of, went back above 47. I mean that's all happening very quickly, but once it regains its strength and starts to pass its open again, especially, okay, you just assume the upside, and that could be very good and make good on the prior day's breakout. It's doing it again, second shot at it. Especially, you really got to pay attention to the candle that something is forming in a day. I mean, look at the performance of this just when it actually does decide to pass its open again. It's right across here. Yes, that looks accelerated here, but given the type of candle it's forming, if you can envision that in your mind based on the daily pattern, this is not that big a deal. Passing this level, look what it did the rest of the day. We know that this has been a constricted range for SanDisk. Even at that late date, once you had envisioned the candle that it was making, yeah, you could have seen it up here. Why not? We're thinking it might need to have gap closure up to 51. So even at that late stage, we could definitely envision that the type of candle has now made it now has a wick down and reversal back up past its open. Okay, give that a shot. Look what you get. Just beautiful, even at this late quote-unquote stage of this downtrend line break. That's still the type of candle you're forming, and it sure did it in spades because this was supported by the type of daily action. So anyway, that's SanDisk. Tomorrow, what shall we have? If the market is strong at all, definitely you can have some more upside with SanDisk. It did close above 48, which is the key level, barely above 48. But if it is, has a desire to go higher tomorrow, and that becomes evident at some point, off these cradles, oh yeah, you can just go on up there, no sweat, try to close this gap. This was pretty bad and just kind of refused to fail. Now maybe SanDisk's time to shine, and for at least one more day, have a real nice movement upward. You'll know that by, I think, breaking this downtrend line right here. You open above this line here, touch it, whatever. Basically, start staying above this downtrend line by these wicks, and you've got yourself, I believe, a third day of SanDisk upside. And there are certain things about human nature. Third time's a charm. We need to see things 3 times to really believe them. It's some sort of psychological fundamental for humans. So third time's the charm is seen in a lot of patterns, a lot of attempts by various stocks. This would be the third time to actually have a radical movement upward after this break, which had a lot of pressure against it. Third day could be the absolute best. This could go from 48 to 50 tomorrow before having any real issues. Possibly 48, 49, 50 perhaps for these levels. Anyway, it could be really good. Third day's a charm perhaps for that. Third day break of a breakout like that could be excellent. Upside for SanDisk, I'd say, would be the bias. This is another bogus chart. This is where X finished the day, way up here, right near the top, about 28.80, 28.81, right near the top of this candle. So this was just a big green candle up, based upon the analysis that this had basically fallen enough. And on these lines, if you were to have drawn them, you've got going here. Let's see if I can get this correct. Let's start up here. Nope. Let's start in this candle. There we go. So you've got this as the initial downtrend line through that wick, and the bodies of these candles began to drift past it. And this is a key level down here, very near to the long-term controlling mainline uptrend. So this is an important level right through here, based upon this break in the past. That's very important, been referenced on through here, a couple of these levels just right in this region, right here, right through here, these tops in this level of support, tops and bottoms through here, all of that. Right at that region, perfect time for another early tail, which this did have, and then start going up. And that's what it did, went in spades. Very nice, beautiful for X. Not sure about now. 29, the 20 is over it. Maybe we need to come up to 30. I did talk about how 30 was key. 28 was important and 30 was key. 30 was kind of the mid-range of this action once X woke up. So here's the mid-range of the action once X woke up. Well, do we need to get back up to the mid-range because X is awake now? And if we have a good upside tomorrow, sure, go above 29, start moving up. Could we see 30? Yeah, that could happen real easily. That would be awfully accelerated, but it could still happen. So you have to temper that with the notion that would be quite accelerated. 29 is itself its own overhead barrier. Depends on the market, but X, yes, could still be very good upside tomorrow. It could give a retracement if this was too much too fast. You could have retrace down here some, let's say. I don't know. X is kind of iffy for tomorrow, but I would say the bias is up. Let's see what else we've got going on. GM could put another candle right on top of this. The earnings with GM. Best profit by GM, I think, ever. Historical best profit. There was some problems in the end of the year with their sales figures slumping a bit, but you look at GM's overall pattern and you've got some upside. There's nothing above it right now. Where is it going to stop this progression? Just don't know. Is it going to come up here? This is huge. This is still maintaining this big move off this double bottom. Do we need to come up to these tails over here? Sure, we could do that in one day. We could move that on up to 28 tomorrow and higher. So there's no reason. That's not out of reach after a response like that by GM. Not at all. So here is the uptrend, I would say, that is controlling things. Let's say it's through there. And where does that allow you to go? 28, sure. Above it for a period of time at the least, sure. So who knows how big this might go? Who knows where people are thinking this might need to be? Does it need to be back up here at 32? Here along the break at 30? You just don't know. You could have another movement up tomorrow that ends up at 30. How big would this be? Depends on where people think it actually does need to reside. Back up here at 33 and whatnot before this big break. Clearly, whatever occasioned this, whatever problems, okay, the reporting of the best profit ever has some real potential to send this and send it fast. However, this is a ridiculous candle anyway, looking at what it has done, so maybe it could top out. Maybe people will factor that in. I don't know. It's lively, though, and has woken up. Texas Instruments, pushing to new highs. This is where it closed, I think, where did it close? Did it close right at 34? I don't think there was any problem with the data on Texas Instruments. So it closed right at 34, pressuring this level once again. Starts moving above 34, could do extremely well. You see that Texas Instruments, much like GM, had one huge big candle day to kick off a bunch of nice new upside, living in a new region above critical tops. Texas Instruments upside, I'd say, breakout above 34. It could really move. This has done several stages of, okay, maintain wicks down after a pop, gap above it, and move upward. So it's done that several times in here in its formation, and it just continues to do it. So that's staging through parallel channels higher, breaking each one of them going higher. So what's left? Break out the final one right here, right at this part here, and zoom. So potential for that tomorrow for Texas Instruments up quite nicely, very big potential there. AXP broken out of its prior highs here, just above 52.50 with these wicks. 6 month highs. So how high could AXP go? Let's take a look. AXP could be needing to come up to some of these lines up here. It's headed for 55 quite clearly. Maybe it gets there, 55, 56. So could XP go far and fast if the market has a few more days of ridiculous upside? If not a week or two, sure. Sure. So it broke this downtrend line here through these tops, gapped above, and finally is making good on the gap above. Once again, a downtrend line, gap above, and you're going to be higher a little bit farther on. It's exactly what AXP has shown us. Here's that downtrend line. There you go. Basically stop at it. Gap above takes a while, but we are higher. Okay, that's the pattern for a lot of things and how they have been going higher lately. And AXP is right in the middle of it. And at the very least, I think we'll be challenging these tops tomorrow. I think it will be up tomorrow and be challenging these tops here. Where is that? And just above 53.50. What is that? I don't know. 53.70 or so. I think it'll get up there. Very well could. Very easily could. Going above this line here would be very good. Past 53, hanging above there, then it shoots. And just who knows where it will stop tomorrow if the market is good and supports that upside. CAT really just, I don't know, having a love affair with 114 once again. Stops right at it again today. I thought this would be bigger. I thought it would finally break out of it. If tomorrow is good, we've moved back above this basically controlling trend line here with a couple of tail excursions down, an open down today, which moved on right back above it. This is a good pattern for finally perhaps breaking out for real, along with this trend line for support, to finally get above 114 and go maybe to 116. I think 116 Cat really has had a great run, but 116 is a little high up there. 116, 118 over the last 10 months, you're still talking all-time highs, given splits and whatever. But maybe Cat does want to go farther beyond that. You see here's the 15-year chart, and there's those highs way up there back a couple months ago, I guess 5 months ago. So does Cat want to finally break above 114 and challenge those? Sure, and that's not very far away. That's 116. If it finally does that, $2 challenge these highs in a single day, and I think that is what will happen. I think that's what will happen tomorrow. So I'll predict Cat up. That's been pressuring that really, really strongly. Of course, maybe not, depending upon the open. If we break below this uptrend line, given what the market wants to do today, maybe something will happen tomorrow or tonight, and things will be down. I guess we could look here a little bit at, let's see, chart settings here, extended hours charting. I don't see anything in any of these lately that tonight are showing problems perhaps for tomorrow. There's nothing across the board that has this aftermarket action anywhere away from what it closed today. So anyway, let's get rid of that. What else do I want to talk about? Apple recovered nicely. You now have what I would say is a controlling uptrend line here, where it opened, went below it, went back above it, went nicely through this elbow off the acceleration through 460. So this is what you've got now. I do think this is going to be controlling this. Okay, here's your price level there, but let's see here. This is really an uptrend line that is also valid as well. It doesn't quite go through this elbow, but this was such a big fall, you might be able to discount this tail for the most part if it doesn't come close to revisiting this at all again. Then this would probably be a controlling trend line for a long time. Near term, anyway. Google. Recovery day. You now have an uptrend line based upon this wick for Google. 610 still going to be a very important level, and 614, which is the highs here. 614, 613 through this region. Clearly, start moving above that. But this is a nice little, basically, hook down that often will just result in a few days of strength, or it could go immediately, but basically you go higher after something like this many times. Nice cradle recovery. Okay, peters out, hooks down fast, but you get a snapback from that type of play, and then it goes up for the next few days, week, ends higher. I do think we are going to be headed up to 640 for Google off of this movement here. Break 610, start living above it, go from 620 to 640 pretty quickly. I think we have acceleration with that, and you will be upper bound will be along this trend line here. So perhaps that's a little shallower than I was thinking, but any number of things. It could be something like that, perhaps, with this gap region and coming back above it, this horizontal level here, controlling some of that. I've seen that before. You don't exactly know what it is, but it's higher than this, and it's higher than 610, and it's higher than 615. There you go. 620 would be key, and you could certainly go past it 630 and 640, depending on how frisky Google were to get. Best Buy. Exactly as predicted, Best Buy cradled off this uptrend line, went very nicely today. Did not actually get to 26, but it looks, based upon this action here, this nice cradle, the rejection of this gap and fall down, this nice action here, it's looking awfully much like it wants to live back where it did before and come up here to the 28 level, 26, 28. That's not huge, and so if it were to really pick up, it is Best Buy. Best Buy, one of the largest retailers in the country. They haven't been doing super well lately, so any real reported increase in how well they are doing could send this. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. They've had some systemic problems that their management has put into their supply chain and into their customer service and their policies, which have not done them well. But Best Buy could be moving on back up, 2750, 2850. We'll take a look at a longer chart on that to give some kind of perspective on where it's at. So this is looking very strong, and it wasn't that long ago, mid-year, that it was living up quite a bit higher at 32. So there's lots of places it could do to go to recover if it were to. Let's take a look at this. This is nice. Let's see when it breaks these downtrend lines. Here's the downtrend line it has been maintaining. So it broke that, wicked off it from 2250 and is maintaining a really nice cradle on upward. Now you have this downtrend line right there, and it looks like it broke it today to the upside. So today was quite a significant day on the longer term chart for Best Buy. It broke that downtrend line, and there you go. Well, let's see, which one is that? It looks like it did on a longer term chart. Okay, yeah, this is the one I'm drawing. So on the bigger, more controlling long term chart, it broke this one, but this is the one I just drew. It has yet to break that. So it certainly could come up and touch that one. Maybe it won't have problems until it reaches that level, which is 2660 or so. So if it were to get to that level, yeah, 2650. So good upside potential for Best Buy tomorrow as a follow-on, just like seeing this candle movement that produced the same thing, replicated itself the next day. I think that Best Buy will do the same, go above 26 and have a good chance at replicating itself upside, because this is the type of slope you're getting, and if you're drawing through some of these areas, you've got more upside to go. Depends on how you want to draw it through that wick and these tails. Okay, you've got the full range straight up to near 2650 with this downtrend line, depending on how you want to draw it. 2650 is not unreasonable at all tomorrow for Best Buy, if it's a good day. What else? Anything else I want to talk about? UNH still staying strong. Didn't care about yesterday, but didn't do anything with today. Today was a massive recovery back up, as we saw from the composite. Up all day. Went past the break levels, which I called and considered to be the tops from yesterday. And once it got there, pulled back, clearly, but fought to move higher. So this is not real enthusiastic once it's up at this level, but it's not weak either. Completely depends on tomorrow and tomorrow's early action to whether those maintain and goes higher. But you just look at the candles and you say, okay, wow, it really does want to be up here. These two trend lines are now controlling either one of these. This is the lower one is where it popped off today and went back up above after the first close in a month and a half or whatever, with the higher, more accelerated trend line. This one was also valid. This is where it came off today. Like I say, you break a trend line and you're starting to reverse, you really need two closes between any particular trend line to decide that is really beginning to happen. So one excursion down on the close, gave it right back. We going back upside? Maybe. Maybe we're starting a new channel sideways, however. Any number of possibilities here with the composite. Are we going to channel in this region now? Is this going to be down and falling tomorrow? What's that going to mean? You're going to have to evaluate that in comparison, in reference to any sort of uptrend lines, any sort of parallel channels that we may be falling through. Okay, then you begin that type of analysis. Do we have to retrace here for 40% of this fall before going higher? Back to an open like this, let's say. Got to fall back to the open in these some of these uptrend channels, parallel channels to some of this rise before going higher. Who knows? But that's how you evaluate that. Like I said, various of these things, AXP being one, is breaking out to new highs, new upside. Pay attention, I would say, SanDisk and X. Of course, very big tomorrow. Broadcom with a beautiful candle up here. All of these just really excellent. If we're still going up, those are going to do well. And UTX here did arrest its fall, could snap back strongly to tomorrow along this uptrend line. It did gain support off of it. Did not do very well today, given what the day did, but this could kick off, moving back above 83. Confirming this gap. You see that this gap was 100% confirmed by today's action. If we are in good position with the open in reference to this uptrend line here, you just may make all this back up tomorrow. Come right back up here. Could be some very nice, very well-behaved movement of UTX if it really does want to get up there. Could be well-behaved. What else have we got? Visa has broken its uptrend line that line would go through this blue level right here in the middle of this candle, if you can see that. 114, this uptrend red line goes right through there. It has broken it and closed below that. 114 was an important level throughout the afternoon for this, as you might imagine, and it closed below it finally, actually with a wick down from it. So if this is a rollover, and as we if you remember it all, I've seen the videos I've previously produced, this pop was generated by MasterCard's earnings, continued up. This pop was generated by Visa's own earnings, and it maintained itself. So this is quite accelerated, and Visa is at all-time highs. Let's look here at Visa. Here we go. 15-year on Visa. Visa hasn't been around that long, but you see we're right up here at all-time highs for Visa with, on this daily pattern, a real nice wick up and a substantial retracement, breaking of the uptrend line, which as you can see is extremely accelerated. And breaking that line, could we come on and just fall, just start coming right back down here, especially if the market begins to be weak? Oh yeah, Visa is in a very precarious position up here, and so even though earnings are good and whatnot, people are still putting purchases on debit cards and such, and MasterCard, Visa credit cards. It's in a very precarious position, extremely accelerated, and yes, having broken that line is significant, and we could start plummeting down very quickly. If it were really bad tomorrow and the market were in support, you could fall a lot, $4, $3, 109. You could come on down. That's certainly possible. Definitely have to look and see. Visa could be really good tomorrow downside. The market is weak. So anyway, I think that's kind of all I want to cover. That should be enough. That's I have a tendency to be long-winded of late, so I think it's a good place to cut it off. So DuPont, I will say this, once again, same pattern, breaks the downtrend line that it had been having, starts moving back above, does it very nicely. This was off a level of support. DuPont woke up here and has been good trading for the last several days. So time to stop ignoring DuPont. Completely ignoring it through here. This break and these candles should have alerted me, okay, it's time to start paying attention to DuPont. And there's been some damn good trading for the last several days for DuPont. So I've got to take this out of the category of don't pay attention to, because today was actually quite good. Okay, I think that's it. Don't want to talk anything else. Have a good day tomorrow. Good luck trading.